We are going to do a raw dog Reddit reaction. We have done this once before, and we call this a raw Reddit reaction because we are going to choose a random title from Reddit around a topic related to sex, and we're just going to read it for the first time here while we record and share our unscripted, unfiltered thoughts on the situation. The title of this post is Wife's New Has Kinda Caught Me Off Guard.
Oh.
Welcome to the Pleasure Program. My name is Holly.
I'm Victoria.
We are two licensed therapists specializing in sex therapy, here to share our knowledge and experience around all things related to a healthy and pleasurable sex life. My wife and I have recently began having sex again after a long hiatus. She had a rough childbirth, and it has taken a bit of time to recover. Having a baby changed our life and ability to find time for intimacy, but now that the baby is a little over a year old and sleeps well, we have time for each other. My wife has stopped shaving over the last year and a bit. It's not a problem for me. I actually prefer it. It's definitely a change, though. We've been together for almost 10 years, and she shaved almost daily. When we have been playing around, I've noticed she is asking for oral sex all the time. I'm more than glad to do it, but yesterday I was performing oral when she commented, "I'm so turned on when you do this when I stink." I just kept going and got her off. After we finished and cuddled up, she said, "I love that I can smell myself on your face." From there, she said she wants to be smelly when we have sex because the idea of her... This is a little explicit. YouTube, don't come for us.
We didn't know.
Raw
reaction.
She wants to be smelly when we have sex because the idea of her vulva being stimulated when it smells makes her very horny. I just smiled and said, okay, but saying it out loud kind of sounds weird. Obviously, it's a good thing for her because she has been really into it. And to be honest, it's not like she smells nasty, just a bit stronger than usual. I never realized this was a thing. I don't want to stop it if this makes her feel good, but I'm curious if this is the start of some kinky stuff with her.
Wow. I kind of love this, actually, because I think that this is a great example of what we've talked about before with kinks, and that some people will develop a kink when they've had potentially had like a negative experience or been exposed to something, and they're wanting to have a corrective experience around it, right? Like there's so much shame and stigma around how a vulva should smell. That's why they have all of these like washes and douches that are like products, flowers and roses that actually are terrible for your vulva. Terrible. And so I think with that messaging, I'm sure she got that messaging in her life, and maybe this is a way of like, oh my God, like my person loves me for me, right? At my maybe most vulnerable, most me self. And so I think that's kind of beautiful. And it could be, I think, an opening to exploring more kink with her as she's getting more comfortable with herself and her sexuality and being comfortable communicating. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's interesting. We just finished recording a video on sex during pregnancy, and we'll link that below if you're curious to check that out. So it's sort of fresh on the mind here, but he starts off saying that they had a baby, they kind of had this long hiatus. He doesn't say how long is long, like how... well, he says that their baby is a year old and is finally sleeping through the night, and they have more time for each other. So perhaps during this past year, it's been difficult for them to connect sexually, to feel the desire to connect, and having a young baby, is a lot. It's a lot to handle. I agree with you, Victoria. It's interesting that she's letting her hair. Now, he's saying that she doesn't shave. I'm assuming we're talking about pubic hair. Especially since there's a reference to performing oral and that being different. Doesn't seem to bother him, even her natural scent. She's referring to herself as like smelly and stinky, which is interesting. And he's saying he's not perceiving her that way, so that might speak to her perception of her natural scent with that messaging that women often get around the natural scent of their genitals being gross or disgusting or off-putting, and his perception is not that either. So there's like a discrepancy there, and maybe she's just like embracing her natural scent that her body has and her natural hair that her body has. I wonder if there's a connection between like pregnancy and motherhood, and we don't know if she's been able to breastfeed this baby, but there is something I think to be said about the experience of creating and growing an entire human being, birthing that human being, like, and then continuing to care and feed and nourish this little human, and how that can really shift the way you feel about your body and what your body is capable of and its natural abilities. I'm just wondering if that's part of this for her, like just empowering herself to be like, you know what, I have hair. There's going to be hair there. I have a scent. Cool. Like, I actually love that about my body. And I want to smell it myself off of my man's face.
Yeah, like being empowered, being connected to your body after that. It makes perfect sense.
Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's not. You know, sex is a very sensory experience. You know, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're tasting, what you're smelling is very much a part of being very embodied and present during sex. So, and we associate our senses with our memories and our experiences, and she's creating a positive association from her own scent to sex with her partner. It's just maybe reinforcing that desire for her.
Absolutely. And I love his reaction to it, right? Like, he's very open and curious about it, right? I love that.
Yeah. I'm curious what others have, maybe like the first couple comments people have said. It's an extension of a primal kink. Dive in and explore and have fun. Primal definitely describes our sex life right now. It's more passionate than ever. How inspiring, too. I think people tend to think having a baby is just like the death of your sex life, and certainly it fluctuates, right? Like I said, we'll link our other video below. We just recorded that one. Desire throughout pregnancy can fluctuate. Desire in the early days of parenthood fluctuates. So it's really inspiring, I think, and encouraging to know people find each other again and sometimes have the best sex they've ever had after having a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. They're sometimes more connected, right? More in touch, more able to be vulnerable, right? And those things can really bring about some amazing things.
Yeah.
I think that he should be direct and ask her if she's open to other kinks, if she has other desires or interests that maybe she hasn't expressed yet, and gives him a good opportunity for him to share the same, right? Like, I've noticed that this is new about her sex life, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really exciting, and I love that you're being so open. Is there anything else that you're feeling like you might want? I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I agree. And it sounds like, based on the first few comments on this Reddit post, that there is something called this primal kink. They could maybe even research together and see if that they could expand on this new interest she's having in her own scent, and that being part of her desire. Someone says this sounds like a perfect setup to do after gym time. I am curious about like that whole this smelly or stinky piece to this. If there is like body odor we would normally think about after we've gone to the gym or been sweating a lot, or if this is more about her natural scent that is just there. But yeah, maybe there's more to explore there for this couple.
That was an interesting raw dog reaction.
No, that was an interesting one. Let us know if you enjoy this little series we are starting here with our raw dog reactions to Reddit. And we have a whole Reddit reaction playlist that we will link below for you to check out if you want to hear more of our thoughts about other people's situations that they post on Reddit.